Hello. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. For me, it's the morning. It's 9 a.m., so I'll say good morning. Hopefully, everyone can hear me and see me all right. Okay, we're going to wait just a few minutes while everybody joins into today's live lesson. And today's live lesson, the topic is phrases to agree and disagree. All right. So before we dive into the topic while we're waiting on others to join, let's do this. You can tell me your name if you'd like. Tell me where you are watching from today. And let's do something different. Let's do a warm-up question. How about you tell me, what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten? Okay, so you can tell me where you're watching from and tell me what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten. And I'll start giving some shout outs. I'm interested to know what weird things you've eaten. Hello, Sri Lanka. Hello, Somalia. And Brazil. Hi, Japan. Hello, Malaysia. All right, while we're waiting, tell me where you're watching from and tell me what is the strangest thing you have ever eaten. Somebody from South Africa has eaten worms, mopami worms. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. I wonder if the worms tasted good. I've also tried a type of worm before in Ecuador. They were good. They didn't look good, but they tasted good. Hello, Pakistan and India, Bangladesh, Vietnam. Hi, Nepal and Taiwan. Hello, Brazil. So someone from Brazil says that one time they tried alligator meat. Wow, I've never tried alligator before. Hello to Kenya. Someone from Kenya, Jennifer from Kenya, says that she's tried rabbit meat. I've also never tried rabbit. I have tried guinea pig. I guess guinea pig and rabbit, they're around the same size. I don't know that they taste the same. Hello, Malawi, and let's see. What else? I've tried snails, which I did not like. What else have I eaten? I've also eaten alpaca. I'm not sure if anyone here has ever tried alpaca. I tried an alpaca burger while I was visiting the country of Peru. Hello, Ukraine. Wow, someone's tried baby elephant? I didn't know you could eat elephant. Interesting. Baby elephant. Was it good? Did it taste good? Hello, Saudi Arabia. All right, we'll just wait a few more moments. Just for anyone who's just now joining, I asked those who are watching to tell me what the strangest thing they've ever eaten is, the weirdest food they've ever eaten. So we've had rabbit, alligator, baby elephant. Someone has never tasted eggplant. I actually have eggplant from my mother's garden. Jason said he's tried some kind of seafoods that were strange. There are some strange seafoods. Wow. Crow's eye. Oh, I'm sorry. Cow's eye. Cow's eye. I've had cow's tongue. I like cow's tongue. I think it's delicious, but I've never had cow's eye. Hello, Laos. Hello, Nepal. Okay, well, those are some very strange foods. If you are joining and you want to share a strange food you have tried before, or the weirdest thing you've eaten, you can still type that in the chat. We're going to go ahead and get started for today. So our topic today is phrases on how to agree and disagree, okay? And don't forget that if you need to leave this lesson early, it will be recorded. So you can go back to Cambly Global YouTube channel, click on this live lesson, and pick up where you left off, okay? You can also rewind, fast forward, just in case you were confused or missed anything. All right? So today's topic, agreeing and disagreeing. So sooner or later, the time is going to come when you have the urge to either agree or disagree with something that someone is saying in English. Maybe it's already happened, or maybe it's going to happen sometime soon. When we have an opinion, or when we want to offer our opinion, it can be difficult when it's not in our first language, right? Maybe we don't exactly know what to say, or we're unsure how to express our opinion or our views in English. You might also be worried that the words you're going to say aren't going to come out properly, or that maybe you're going to hurt someone's feelings or offend them by disagreeing. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some ways to strongly agree, strongly disagree. We're also going to talk about what to say if you're not so sure, and what to say if you're ready to end the conversation, right? And many times it might be easier to sit back and just nod your head yes or no. But as we continue learning English and improving our ways to express ourselves, we want to be able to agree or disagree and have that conversation or discussion with the other person in English, right? The best way to do that is practicing some common expressions, thinking of topics that you have strong views on, that you want to be able to express yourself in. And so we're going to cover some phrases today. It's important to note that there are many other ways to agree or disagree, but I just chose some to cover today that I thought were very common and also maybe native speakers use more often. Okay? So is everyone ready to get started? I hope the answer is yes. All right. So the first thing is maybe you're having a conversation with someone and they are talking about a topic that you have a strong opinion on. Maybe they're just expressing how they feel, or maybe they're expressing how they feel and then they ask what your opinion is. All right, so it can go either way. They might just express their opinion and not ask yours, but maybe you feel obligated or you have the urge to give your opinion or to agree or disagree. Or maybe they're giving you their opinion and then they ask you directly, what do you think? Okay, so first we're just going to cover some ways that people ask for an opinion, or maybe you want to ask someone for their opinion if they agree or disagree. All right, so the first one is just, what do you think? Okay, so maybe I'm giving my opinion. Let's say, pineapple pizza is delicious. What do you think? That is a hot debate. I don't know about in your country, but here in the United States, many people argue if pineapple belongs on pizza. So maybe I say, pineapple pizza is delicious. What do you think? I'm asking for your opinion, okay? Or, what's your idea? So maybe I say, public transportation should be free. I think public transportation should be free for everyone. What's your idea? I want to know what your opinion is. Do you agree or do you disagree? Another one is, what are your thoughts? Or what are your thoughts on this? I think public transportation should be free for everyone. What are your thoughts? Or what are your thoughts on this? I want to hear what you think. The next one is just a direct, would you agree? Okay, that one's easy. Would you agree? I want to know directly, do you agree or disagree with me? Pineapple pizza is delicious. Do you agree? Or would you agree? Personally, I don't like pineapple pizza, but I know many people do. I don't eat pineapple pizza. Another way is, how do you feel about that? So that one is a little more in depth. I want to know how you're feeling, how whatever topic I'm discussing makes you feel. I want you to maybe start an in-depth conversation with me, okay? Maybe I say, many people would say English is the easiest language to learn. How do you feel about that? Maybe you say, no, it's not easy to learn, it's the hardest. And the last one is maybe not so much an agree or disagree, but more of an opinion. Would you say blank? Would you say pineapple pizza is delicious? Would you say English is easy to learn? Okay, I'm just asking for your opinion, what you think about that. So these are just some common ways to ask for an opinion. And again, maybe I'm expressing my opinion first and then asking what you think. Or maybe I just want to know, hey, do you think pineapple pizza is delicious? I don't tell you what I think. I just want to know your opinion. All right? Okay, so we're going to start with ways to agree. So let's say, again, the same example, or I'll use the public transportation example. Let's say we're talking about public transportation, and I say, you know what? I really think the city should make public transportation free for everyone, okay? I state that. I don't ask your opinion, but maybe you want to express that you agree with me, that you also think this. So the first 5 ways are strong ways to agree, okay? They come off as a stronger agreement. So you can say, I totally agree, or I completely agree. Yes, public transportation should be free for everyone. I totally agree. I completely agree. That's a really strong way to agree. The next way, it might sound a little strange, but this one's very common. I could not agree more, or I couldn't agree more. It might sound strange because it's negative, but this just means I agree to the highest extent. I couldn't agree any more than I do. Okay, this one's really strong. I think public transportation should be free for everyone. I couldn't agree more. I think public transportation should also be free for everyone. The next one, tell me about it. So maybe you've heard this before. If someone says, tell me about it, they're looking for more detail or description, but we also use this as an expression to agree. So maybe I say, English is so hard to learn. And you say, yes, Molly, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I've been taking Cambly lessons for 6 months, and it's still hard to learn English. Tell me about it. I agree with you 100%. Okay, this is another strong way to agree. Pineapple pizza is the best pizza ever. I agree with you 100%. Pineapple pizza is delicious. And the last strong way, you're absolutely right. So if you express your opinion and I agree with you, I can say, you're absolutely right. I think public transportation should be free for everyone. All right? So these 5 ways are all ways to strongly agree, okay? You really, really agree with the person and what they're saying. The next 2 are just if they're very straightforward and asking you, do you agree? So I think here, would you agree or do you agree? You can either say, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think pineapple pizza is good. Or yes, I would. Yes, I would agree. I like pineapple pizza. I think it's tasty. Or yes, I think so. Okay? So if I ask you, do you think public transportation should be free? You can say, yes, I think so. I think it should be free for everyone. So these are straightforward questions where I'm asking directly if you agree or directly asking for your opinion. Okay? Oh, someone says that you don't see the words clearly. Maybe I can scoot this a little closer. Give me one moment. Okay. See if that's a little better. If you can see that, it's a little closer. All right. Maybe you somewhat agree, but not fully or not strongly. So the bottom three ways are ways to express slight agreement. Okay, maybe you slightly agree. You can say, I tend to agree, but maybe there's an exception. Maybe you don't agree 100%. I tend to agree, but pineapple pizza is delicious. I tend to agree, but I think pepperoni pizza is the best. Okay, so you're agreeing, but not 100%. The next one is up to a point, but. So maybe, again, public transportation should be free for everyone. Up to a point, but then public transportation might be more crowded. So I'm agreeing with you, but not 100%, okay? And then the last one, I agree to some extent, right? I slightly agree, not 100%. I agree to some extent. I think public transportation should be free on certain days, maybe not every day of the week. All right, so the ones in the red are strongly agreeing, and the ones in the blue are slightly agreeing. Okay, let me check the chat really quickly and see if we have any questions before we move on to disagreeing. Let's see what everyone's saying. Lots of people have opinions on pineapple pizza. I think people who like the sweet and salty taste together like pineapple pizza. Some people like the mix of sweet and salty together. For example, here in the United States, some people, at least where I'm from, some people like to dip their French fries in their ice cream. They like French fries dipped in ice cream. I like this. I think it's delicious, but some people think it's really gross. All right. The hardest languages to learn are Arab, Chinese, and Japanese. Not English. English is hard though. But someone says it's very fun. Good. I think everyone should taste pineapple pizza at least once to see what they think of it. Some people have never heard of pineapple pizza. It's very common here. All right, so these are ways to express agreements, all right? Whether or not I'm asking if you agree, or if you just feel the urge to express your opinion that, yes, I agree with you. Maybe I didn't ask, but you just want to tell me, hey, you're totally right. I completely agree, okay? Now, disagreeing. Okay, so I think disagreeing might feel a little scarier or more intimidating, especially when it's not in your first language, because you don't want to offend someone, you don't want to start an argument, you don't want to sound too forward or too direct, okay? So we're going to talk about some strong ways to disagree and then some not so strong ways to disagree. So I suppose this might depend on who you're speaking with, okay? Maybe if it's a close friend or a family member, you don't mind being very forward and having that discussion, maybe a debate that you have. But maybe if it's someone you don't know so well, you don't want to come off as strongly just because it can be a bit awkward. Or maybe you do. Maybe you want to have that debate depending on the topic, okay? So some ways to disagree strongly, no way. And then maybe you give your reason, right? So if I say pineapple pizza is delicious and you disagree, no way. Pineapple pizza is disgusting. What are you talking about? Okay, you disagree. You don't think it's good. Or you can say, exactly like the I totally or completely agree, I totally disagree, or I completely disagree. All right. Let's say, I think more trees should be planted in the city. I completely disagree. That means there will be more birds and more bird poop on the sidewalks, okay? You completely disagree. It's a very strong disagreement. And then I'm going to skip down to this one. This is an expression, I beg to differ, that a lot of native speakers will use. Maybe it doesn't sound as strong. It depends on the tone of your voice, okay? So some people use this in a more sarcastic way. I beg to differ. Or it can be used in a lighter way. I beg to differ. Okay, so it depends on the tone of your voice, how you're going to use I beg to differ. It means you disagree. If I say pineapple pizza is disgusting, I beg to differ. I think it's delicious. I like the sweet and salty taste together. And then a few other ways, I have to disagree with that. This is just an easy way. It doesn't sound too strong. I'd have to disagree, or I'd have to disagree with that, or I'd have to disagree with you, okay? And then maybe you can give your reason. Maybe they'll ask, why? Why do you disagree? All right? Or I'm afraid I disagree. This one sounds a little more polite and not as strong. Sorry, but I'm afraid I disagree. You don't even have to say sorry. You don't have to apologize for disagreeing. Sorry, I'm afraid I disagree, or just I'm afraid I disagree. And then if you slightly disagree, maybe it's not 100%, okay? These three blue, you can say not necessarily. Maybe I say English is the most difficult language to learn. Not necessarily. Arab or Chinese is more difficult than English, okay? So you're disagreeing with what I said. That's not always the case. That's not always the case. What's another example? Maybe I can say, I'm trying to think of a good topic that's not controversial. Dessert is always best at night. Dessert is always best at night. That's not always the case. I like ice cream in the afternoon. Okay, so you're disagreeing. That's not always the case. Or I'm not so sure about that, okay? So maybe you disagree, but you still aren't so sure what your opinion is. You can say, I'm not so sure about that, and then give your reason or your opinion, okay? So these are ways that you can disagree. It's important to remember that whether or not you are agreeing or disagreeing, a lot of times the way you say it, the tone of your voice makes a difference, okay? So if I just say, I completely agree, it doesn't sound as enthusiastic as, I completely agree with you, right? So the tone of our voice and the way we're communicating our agreement or disagreement is very important. I also wanted to note that many times to sound more polite if you do disagree, or usually if you disagree, you can use in my opinion, right? To state that it is your opinion, not theirs, but yours, because everybody has their own opinion and it can be different, right? So I completely disagree. In my opinion, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you're very clearly stating that it is your opinion. A couple of other things I want to note. If you don't know, if someone asks you if you agree or disagree, and you really don't know, you're not sure how to express that, or you don't have a strong opinion, or you just don't want to get into the debate, you can say a few things. You can say, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about that. And that's very straightforward. You're just being honest that you don't know. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure about that. Or if I ask, would you agree? Or do you agree with me? That's a tough one. That's a tough one, just means it's hard. You're not sure if you agree or disagree. Maybe it's a really controversial topic and they're asking, do you agree with this or disagree with this? That's a tough one. Or, well, it depends. It depends. That's my favorite. A lot of things depend. Well, it depends, okay? Or let's say, I'm going to hang this up so that you all can see it. Let's say that I express my opinion to you and I ask if you agree and you disagree, okay? And then we spend 30 minutes debating this topic. You're giving me your thoughts, I'm giving you my thoughts. It becomes a heated debate, maybe almost close to an argument. Maybe we start to argue about this topic. And you're not changing your opinion and I'm not changing my opinion. So then we can say, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. I'm not sure if you've ever heard this before, but this is a great phrase to say when you are ready to end the conversation. And these conversations, it's important to know when it's time to end the conversation, right? We don't want to have these huge arguments if we disagree with someone. So if you have your opinion and it's different than mine and we're ready to just stop talking about it because we're not changing our opinions, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. This means that we're not changing our opinions. We're just going to say, okay, we disagree and that's all right. Let's not talk about it anymore. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. Let me hang this one up as well. Give me one moment. And if you have any questions, so we're going to practice now. If you have any questions, please type those in the chat and I'll take a look. So I'm going to give you 5 statements or opinions, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun in the chat, and I'm going to let you agree or disagree with me or with the statement and say why, okay? If you feel comfortable enough to give your opinion on why you agree or disagree, you can. If you don't feel comfortable, you can just use one of the phrases, okay, and keep it simple. I totally agree or I completely disagree, all right? So let me check the chat if you have any questions, and then we're gonna practice. You get to have some fun. We'll keep it clean, non-controversial topics. We don't want any arguments. Although, I don't know, pineapple pizza might cause some arguments. All right, let me see if anyone has any questions before we continue. Okay. Someone says, disagreeing takes a long time. Yes, so another thing that's important, if you feel like your English is at that level and you're ready to have this conversation with someone to agree or disagree, if you know you disagree with that person, make sure you're prepared to say why, okay? If you're going to express that disagreement, they're going to want to know why you disagree, all right? So that's why it's important to maybe pick a few topics that are common or that you have strong views on and practice saying why you disagree or why you agree with that topic, all right? To prepare yourself for if the conversation ever comes up. That way you're able to strongly express, or maybe not so strongly, express your views. Okay. What phrases to use if you don't agree or disagree? So if you don't agree or disagree, you can use one of these. If you're just not sure, you can say, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about that. So if you don't agree or disagree, or maybe you can just say, I don't have an opinion on that. And so you don't have to elaborate any further. I don't really have an opinion on that. Or to be honest, I'm not really sure. Or that's a tough one. I don't know. It's okay to admit when you don't know. Don't be scared to admit when you don't know. Okay. And Also, don't forget that if you missed the phrases to agree, this is recorded. So as soon as this ends, it will be on Cambly's YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch it again and catch up on the phrases to agree. I will step out of your way so that you can see the agree phrases and the disagree phrases. Okay, so I have 5 situations, 5 opinions. These are not all my personal opinions, okay? They're just opinions that I found on the internet. So these are not my personal opinions. I think maybe one of them is. So I'm going to show it to you. So some of them are just a statement, okay? So let's say I'm just stating something and you have the urge to agree or disagree. Some of them I'm going to ask your opinion, okay? So pay attention, because sometimes, for example, if I say, what do you think about that? You wouldn't say, yes, I do, okay? Because that doesn't make sense. But if I say, would you agree? You could say, yes, I would. All right, so pay attention to if I'm asking your opinion or if it's just a statement. Okay, so I'm going to give you the statement. I'm going to show it to you. And then in the chat, you can give your personal opinion. You're either going to agree or disagree using the phrases we used today. And if you wish, you can give your reason why, okay? If you want to practice a little more, tell me why you agree or why you disagree. All right, is everybody ready? So the first one is, hopefully everyone can see, I'm trying to stay out of your way. Some people think personality is more important than beauty. Would you agree? Some people think personality is more important than beauty. Would you agree? So I'm going to give you some time to type in the chat, and I'm going to read some of your responses out loud. Take your time. So in this one, I'm asking, would you agree? I'm asking you for your opinion. Some people think personality is more important than beauty. Would you agree? And if you disagree, please tell me why. I'm afraid I disagree because blah, blah, blah. Or I don't agree with that. In my opinion, blah, blah, blah. Okay? All right, I totally agree. I agree 100%. Somebody said, no way. Why? Why do you disagree? No way. Why? What's your opinion on it? Of course, I totally agree. Good. Ah, that's a great answer. Yes, I agree. In my opinion, beauty passes with time. That's true, but personality is forever. Who we are will always remain. Everyone gets older. I completely agree with you. I do agree. Personality is important because beauty cannot give any solutions. Good. Yes, I agree, because it will show what is inside of a person. Great answer. Yes, I agree 100%. Ah, interesting point. So someone says no way, because in real life, we like appearance. A lot of times our first impression is what we see. But in my opinion, I think we have to take time to get to know someone, and it's what's on the inside, because sometimes something can be very beautiful on the outside, but very ugly on the inside. Okay, someone says beauty is not always the same. That's a great point. Okay, great job. So that was the first one. So let's do another. I love that you're able to express your opinions. Okay, the next one is just a statement. So I'm not asking you if you agree or disagree. I'm going to give you a statement, and then from that statement, you're going to tell me if you agree or disagree and why, okay? This one, I would like to know why. So tell me if you agree or disagree and give me a reason for this one. This one's an important topic, I think, in today's world. Social media is harmful. Social media is harmful. So now tell me, do you agree or disagree, and why you agree or disagree? Social media is harmful. Somebody says, I agree 400%. Not just 100%, but 400%. Social media is harmful. Tell me why you think it is harmful, or why you disagree, why you don't think it's harmful. Or if you don't have an opinion, if you're not sure, you can always use one of these phrases. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure about that. Or maybe you tend to agree, but you also see social media as something positive. Ah, very good. I tend to agree, but it's also useful. Great. So that means you're slightly agreeing, right? I tend to agree, but it's also very useful. Great job. Jason says, no, I totally disagree because there are many ways to handle them safely. Very good. I couldn't agree more. Sometimes it's a poison. I like your choice of vocabulary. Ah, you guys are doing amazing. That's not always the case. Some can be used to meet and chat with people in English. Very true. Great point. Oh, everyone, it's going too fast. Hold on, let me scroll back up. I tend to agree, but without social media, you won't be able to connect with people and learn new things. Absolutely. It is the way we connect with people all around the world, right? Some of you might be using YouTube from your phone right now to watch this English lesson. Someone says that's not always the case. It depends on how you use it. Very good. You all have many opinions on this. These are great. Not necessarily, because social media can help us if we use it to do positive things. You're right. It's how we use it, right? How are we using social media? I agree, because sometimes people take or maybe spend a lot of time on the virtual life. Yes, not in the real life, but on the phone screens, scrolling through Instagram or Facebook. Someone says, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about it, and that's okay. Very good. I beg to differ. I think it's very useful. Great job. Okay, let's do the next one. The next one's a good one. Wonderful job. You all are doing really well with either agreeing or disagreeing and giving some great reasons why. Maybe after this, you'll feel more prepared to have a debate, a heated debate with someone. Okay, the next one is, the most important thing about a job is salary. Now I'm asking you, what do you think? The most important thing about a job is salary. What do you think? This isn't my personal opinion, okay? This is just an example. The most important thing about a job is salary. What do you think? Give everyone a few moments to give me your opinion. Do you agree or do you disagree? And why? Tell me why you agree or disagree. This is something important to think about, because all of us, or many of us, once we graduate the university, we start looking for a job. What kind of job do we look for? Do we look for a job that we're passionate about? Do we look for a job because it pays a lot of money? Good. Someone says, not necessarily. Job satisfaction matters too. Right. We spend most of our day, most of our week at our job. So if we're not satisfied with our job, maybe we won't feel as happy. I disagree because the environment is most important in which you work. The environment in which you work is most important. It's very true. I'm afraid I disagree because the experience is also important. Yes, your job experience, how your day is going, who you're working with. Someone says, no, I totally disagree. In my opinion, salary is very important, but it is important that you like your job too. That's a great point. So in this case, that's a good way to express if you kind of have an opinion of both. Maybe you see both sides of it. So I think that salary is important. You're agreeing with that, and you're also able to express a different opinion. But I think it's also important that you enjoy your job or like your job. Very good. Put this down. Yes, I tend to agree, but money is not very important. I agree because we have a job for a better life. Not necessarily. If you don't have quality of life, it isn't worth it. Someone says, I agree. If we take a good salary, or if we make a good salary, we can live a better life. I'm not so sure about that because although we found a job with a high salary, there's no time to spend it with our family. That's a great point. Maybe you have a job that pays a higher salary, but maybe you have to work many hours and you have less time with your family. No, I totally disagree. The most important thing about a job is job security. These are great points. Very, very good points. All right, we have two more. I know we're almost out of time, so let's do two more. This one is my personal opinion. I included one that is my personal opinion. All right. I'm interested to hear this debate. We might get into a heated argument. We might have to agree to disagree after this one. Dogs make better companions than cats. Dogs make better companions than cats. This is my personal opinion. So I have 2 dogs and 0 cats. Dogs make better companions than cats. What do you think? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me, and why? I'm very interested to hear your opinions. I already see some that say that's a tough one. That's a tough one. It is. Especially if you're an animal lover, if you love all animals, it's hard to say which one's better. Someone says, I couldn't agree more. That's right. Dogs are the best. I'm afraid I disagree. Oh, I'm sorry. This is for the previous question. Yes, I do agree because cats sleep more. Right. Cats are lazy. They sleep all day. They don't want or need attention, as much attention as dogs do. Someone asked, what is a companion? A companion is someone who spends time with us, kind of like a friend or someone who is in our company. That's a companion. Someone who we can spend time with, enjoy our time with. So there's a saying, dogs are a man's best friend. I'm not sure if you've heard that popular saying. Dogs are a man's best friend, or woman's best friend, human's best friend. I agree with you 100% because dogs interact more than cats. They do. They play fetch, they run around, they go on walks. I beg to differ because they're not as friendly compared to cats among humans. I guess it depends on what kind of dog. Somebody has no idea. That's okay. If you don't have an opinion, it's okay. I agree because I have one dog and dogs are more loyal than cats. I think if you have only cats, you would agree that cats are better. If you have only dogs, you would agree dogs are better. Maybe if you have dogs and cats, then you have a opinion on both, or you have no opinion. I agree with you 100%. Dogs are more friendly than cats. I'm trying to find some that disagree. Let's see those that disagree. Jason says we're going to agree to disagree. It's not worth the argument. I totally agree because dogs are faithful. They are. They're faithful to their masters, to their owners. Ooh, someone doesn't like dogs or cats, but they like horses. I live next to some horses. There are 4 horses that live next to me. Ah, interesting. In Asian countries, people don't have cats or dogs as companions, so I'm not sure about that. I know in some countries it's not as common to keep pets in your house. Maybe it's more common to see cats and dogs outside. Okay, very good. So we're going to do the last one, the very last one, and then we're going to finish for today, okay? So is everybody ready for the last one? Give it your everything. Give me your reasons. Tell me if you agree or disagree. All right, the last one. Studying grammar is more important than practicing conversation skills. Ooh. Many English learning students or English learners have strong opinions on this. Studying grammar is more important than practicing conversation skills. Do you agree or disagree? Or do you have no opinion? Or you're not sure? Studying grammar is more important than practicing conversation skills. If you're an English teacher, I'm sure you have strong opinions on this. All right, I'll give you a few moments. Let's hear your opinions, and then we're going to wrap it up and end the lesson for today. I'm interested to hear what your opinions are. And while you're typing your opinions, if you joined in late today, please don't forget that this is recorded. You can go back and rewatch it again at any time. Let's see. Totally disagree because the ultimate goal of learning grammar is to be able to communicate. Very good point. No, I totally disagree because without practice, the theory is going to be useless. Ooh, that is a good point. So if we're learning grammar but not practicing it in our conversation, interesting point. No way. I think practicing conversation is used in everyday life. Oh, I lost it. Is used in everyday life, and don't be afraid if you use grammar wrong. Exactly. So I think that's something when you're learning another language and you're learning the grammar, you're scared you're going to use it the wrong way in your conversation, but it's totally normal. Anyone who has learned a language knows a part of making mistakes and sounding silly and saying something wrong, it's how we learn, right? It's a part of learning a language. We're not robots. We don't learn it and then speak it perfectly, right? We have to make mistakes to learn. It depends on what you're going to use English for. For example, if you want to write better, then grammar is more important. In my opinion, both are important. You need to have a balance of the two sides. Good point. Both are important. I'll read just a couple more and then we're going to wrap it up. I agree because if I can't understand grammar, I can't understand maybe what the teacher is saying. I disagree. In my country, people tend to study more grammar. That's why we're not good at speaking. That's a generalization. I totally disagree because without practicing conversation skills, you can't learn any languages. Right. The way we communicate is by speaking, right? Is by having conversations in our daily lives. So if we're not practicing that, if we're not able to speak or have a conversation, how are we going to utilize that language? We're not going to be texting or writing that language forever. Eventually, we want to be able to say it, to express ourselves. Good. Okay. Great job, everyone. We're going to stop here because I am way past time. I know you all have things you need to do. It's late for some of you and you need to get to bed. It was a pleasure getting to hear your opinions and getting to hear you either agree or disagree. Again, remember that a lot of times it is best to watch your tone of voice. Remember who you are speaking to. So assess the situation. If it's a friend or a family member, it's all right if you want to get into a heated debate of if you agree or disagree. Maybe if it's someone you don't know so well, it's good to know when to end the conversation and say, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree, right? And that's okay. You're not going to change everyone's opinion, and that's the point. It's good to be able to express your opinion and talk about it. And again, the best way to practice is reviewing these phrases on how to agree or how to disagree with someone, and also find some topics that you have strong opinions on and practice. You can even practice in your home by yourself. Practice agreeing with someone and giving the reason why you agree, or disagreeing with someone and giving that reason why, okay? If you're going to disagree, be prepared to tell why you disagree. All right. Thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. It was great hearing about the strange foods that you all have eaten in the beginning of the lesson, and also getting to hear you debate and hear you express your opinions. I hope that you can take what you learned today and use it in real life, right? So it's easier sometimes to type it, but I hope you're able to practice it with speaking, having a conversation with someone and expressing your opinions, because our opinions are very important and being able to express those. All right, everyone, I appreciate you taking the time to join in today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, or maybe you're going into Monday, maybe it's bedtime. Either way, enjoy your week, and we will see you next week for the next live lesson. Bye, everybody.